Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for dedicating a snippet of your morning this morning to join us live. And for those of you on the replay, it's awesome to have you joining in, learning a little bit more about perhaps facing into some of your discomfort, dare I say, around sales. I see a lot of information coming at us entrepreneurs around marketing this, and there's forever something that you can sign up for that will help you with your real game, or videos and things like that, and they're all really, really important. But what I liken it to is it's as if you make your shop window look absolutely awesome, and then you walk in and just no one's going to greet you, or like the cafe looks like an amazing setup and you walk in and the coffee machine's not there to serve. So sales is a really important part of taking all that incredible work that you're doing in your marketing efforts and bringing it home. It's the thing that converts your inquiries into paying customers, which is what we all want at the end of the day, right? More paying customers, more impact, more money, more profit. So that's what we're going to dive through today, is a little bit about helping you with your sales conversations. Now, my really strong background and skills and experiences in the face-to-face selling environment. So you're going to hear that and it's going to come across loud and clear. But what I really want you to remember is that all of this is just as applicable offline. So it's the same skills, it's just adding a different lens. So hopefully I will give you enough reference points through that, through the course of what we talk about, to make that really clear. If it's not, and you're, want to chime in with any questions or flicker through a question when you're watching this on the replay, we would love to hear from you and see if we can help you translate that into, for those of you in the online space. How do you feel more confident in your e-commerce messenger chat questions and your email queries and all of those sorts of good things? So anyway, enough about me harping on, and let us jump in. So that's what we're going to cover off in this session. Let me just, you think that I would get slicker with this screen share, but there we go. Right. So, all right. So that's with us here today at Your Success Team. So a little bit about Your Success Team. For those of you who don't know, we started Your Success Team a couple of years ago now, coming up a couple of years ago, when we realized that there was a really big gap in the business coaching space for entrepreneurs, where you quite often need a lot of experts in your camp short term as you're starting up, and that can be really, really costly. So we bring multiple eyes, diversity of thought to your business through all of our programs and offers, and you're only paying that one fee rather than multiple fees for your business. We're also here to simplify business. Both Robin and myself, as the co-founders, are very, very practically minded. We both used to work in industries where stress was really, really high. And so what that means is we have a natural knack for taking a message and distilling it and stripping away a lot of the filler and the waffle that other experts will have. So hopefully that comes through loud and clear in today's session. That's a little bit about us. And what today's session will do, like I said, give you some real confidence in your sales. And it's also designed to give you a bit of an insight into how we run our Success Squad program and our Success Circle program. So a little bit of a taster, and I'll give you some information about how you can work with us at the end, because I know that's always an awkward part of coming along on a free webinar. You're like, what's the sales hook going to be? So that's enough of an intro, and then we'll finish up on it. But in the middle, tons of good stuff. So let's get into it. Okay, so today, what we're going to cover off in this session is all around fundamentals. And I don't mean fundamentals as in you're silly if you don't know this. I mean, these are fundamentals. These are the building blocks, the foundation that makes the sales house strong. So just because they're fundamentals doesn't mean they're easy. But what they do mean is that if you can get this right, everything then stacks on top of them a whole lot better. So, right, feeling more confident, having more fun, and showing up with more customers so you get more sales conversion, but less stress. So we're going to talk today about how important our presence is to the sales process, understanding that sales at the end of the day is just like most things in life. It's about connection and relationships. And if you understand that, it takes away a lot of the fear. Learning a bit more about the art of uncovering what you can before you make that offer, that sales pitch, for want of a better term. Why we have two ears and one mouth. And just that natural way of nature telling us how to use those in a conversation is really, really helpful. The really important knack of closing a sale, putting that little cherry on the top and saying, giving the customer the chance to say yes, please. And then how important follow-up is in that conversion process. So we will into a little bit of a framework for you to remember is that service is sales and sales is service. So what I'd just like you to have a moment and reflect about is we've all been sold to really, really well. We've all had those moments where we're like, oh, they were on the game, that was awesome. And you were almost like quite happy to part with your dollars. And then we've got that, I so begrudge giving me my money, salespeople. So just have that little reflection lens around what was it in those interactions that made you feel a little bit icky about spending money and then be totally cool with spending money. So have that in the back of your mind as we go through. Right, so here are some things that are really important in terms of your behaviors for success. So this is around how do you think about you as a key player in the sales conversation. So remember to own your own mindset, care less about the outcome and how you make other people feel. Open questions and how they will uncover just about everything. Backing yourself to ask for the business and following through, following up and delighting. So those are the behaviors for success in sales that we're going to get into in this session. Okay, so back to thinking about that lethargic salesperson that we felt a bit icky parting dollars with, right? We know someone going through the motions. We've walked into a shop with the bored sales staff ignoring us, and begrudgingly turning around to serve us, right? And then on the flip side, we have been somewhere where someone has just bloody loved all they're doing and they're bringing it all and they're really passionate. So that's what I want you guys to think about bringing. And same thing, this applies just as well online or offline. This is around you coming from what I really love the analogy of an opening night principle. And so if you were, now we can travel again, if you were off to Broadway or to the West End and you were off to see Les Mis, that's probably the first time in your life that you've seen Les Mis. But for that cast and crew, that is certainly not the first time that they have created Les Mis and bought that. But what they need to remember before they step onto the stage is it's your first time, so they've got to bring it as well as if it was their first time. And so that's just a really lovely analogy that I have seen to be really powerful because everyone can kind of grasp the power of that sense of the curtains opening and stepping out to take the stage. And we do that in a micro moment. We think about that, not responding to a customer inquiry, slightly distracted, stepping out for those of us in a storefront, for example, stepping out as we open the doors with energy. I used to really love, I used to run banking branches, and this was back in the day where you had a day a week that you would train your staff, and so you opened late. And I used to love going out there to open the doors and greet the people that had sort of lined up, queuing at the door to meet us, and just watching them come in and just really welcoming them. So it's that kind of intention, and that sets the stage for the rest of the conversation. So yeah, I think that's really enough on that. Remembering your why is really important here. And for a reflection that can be quite powerful, whether you're doing that now or when you get these slides when they're sent out through to you, can you think of that last time that you were sold something by someone who really owned the energy, and how did you feel off the back of that experience? And then if you were really honest, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is, oh, do I even have a pulse? And 10 is, yes, those curtains part and I just bring my all. On average, how do you interact with your customers? And let's see if we can get you shifting some of that. Right, so caring about how you make other people feel, sorry. So this speaks to the heart of being in this for the long-term game. And I think most of you joining us on the replay and live are New Zealand based. And so New Zealand's a really small part of the world. Everybody knows everybody, right? And so we have to be really conscious around those ripples that we send out. So whilst someone might not be a customer now, they will be longer term. And that there's a whole thing that we can, go into around creating advocates. And we do that in some of our programs because they are the absolute goal when it comes to marketing your business. But we can all do that, right? So this is about how do you engage so that even if someone doesn't buy from you, that they don't feel that level of disconnection, because we've all had that, right? Whether we're just browsing and someone asks them in the shop, just browsing, and then they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to bother. That's not what we want to leave people feeling. And you can do that through any channel, right? So I'm pretty sure you can all think of a time when that's happened to you. So if you're thinking that sales is a really long-term game, you never know where someone's at in their decision-making journey with you, right? So they might say yes today, absolutely, but they might say yes in 2 years. And how you treat them today is really, really important for the likelihood of you getting that business in 2 years' time. So the feelings are more important than today's outcome. Really want you to have that. Great feelings create advocates, and 2 ears, 1 mouth is the ratio that will help people feel like they were seen and heard. So I think that's kind of that. Oh, no, wait, I do want to leave you with this really stunning Maya Angelou quote. People will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And if you can really hold on to that, I have seen time and time again in my career and in those coaching others in sales, this just rings true. To be fair, it rings true in human life. It's not so much about sales. So have a mull on that. Now, the reflection here that we'd encourage you to take is, what's the best experience that you can remember of being sold to, and what made it stand out? I'm guessing it's how you felt at the end of that interaction, not necessarily what it was that you bought. And then if you then hold that mirror up to yourself, what could you change about your sales experience so that you're creating more room for delight and more sensation for that customer you're engaging with, that they're being seen and heard and that you really care how they feel? Right, now into really good, this is really lovely, practical thing you can just go and get into straight away, is the power of open questions. And this is an amazing way of gifting your customer the platform for you to have the impression that you're an amazing listener. This is why so many of us love to chat to introverts, because they let us talk and we're humans and we love to talk about ourselves. So if you can get your clients and your customers to talk about themselves, the more they share, it means the more you can craft what you're selling over to them. So some of the amazing starters in your sentences around here are the magical words who, what, how, when, where. And if you start a question with that, you can answer it with a yes or a no, unless you're a 14-year-old teenage boy. But we're not selling to 14-year-old teenage boys. So if you can craft the questions that you'd normally ask and turn them into one of those open questions, and then here's a little bonus, the power of a tell me more is beautiful. Tell me more. You can put a little bit in about tell me more about what's going on for you right now, or tell me more about how you might like to use this. But sometimes just to tell me more in a pause will give you everything that you need from that customer. So the thing that I would remind you about this is that if you're coming from that owning your mindset, being really present in the moment, and then you're really caring about how you're making the other person feel, these questions will come up really, really naturally to you, and they'll just be a natural extension of that lens that you've got. So this is a practice, but what it will turn you into is an amazing conversationalist, and an amazing conversationalist is an amazing salesperson. Uncovering a client's problem is a really key part, especially for those of us in service-based industries, to knowing if what you've got right now is the right thing for them. And then back to that point about it's a long-term game, you can back away if it's not, or you can phrase why it isn't the right thing for them if you're not the right answer for them right now. So what your action time is here, and don't worry, it's coming at you in your resource off the back of this, is thinking about the open questions that you can use to ask a potential client to find out more. So what is it that works? Is it, what are your wellness goals? How will you use this product? What are your intentions? Why do you need this? What's the number one thing you'd like to change? So there's a lot, And these will be really unique based on your business, your products and services that you offer. And you'll be able to find, your way of asking that feels natural and not some kind of forced script you got from this webinar that you went to with this lady who talked with her hands too much, right? So that's why when you get the resource, you'll see that they're not prescribed open questions. They are totally for you to create that fit for your business. So then what you're going to do is, if we think about this amazing sales conversation, so we've bought it, the curtains have entered, we're bringing all of our energy, we're really, really present, and we're not so worried about what's going to happen if this is an immediate yes or a no. We've just kind of like loosened up our grip on the, the desire for the sale, and we really asked some questions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play it back to them. So this is where you would like to share why what you've got is the right solution for the problem that you've uncovered, and what they can expect to experience. And this is around benefits rather than features. So this is just what it is around unlock for them. And so changing that lens from features to benefits, and how you can do that is what's in it for me. How you're presenting that answers that from the customer's perspective, you'll be sharing a benefit. Now, what I would say around here is I have a natural tendency is I like to talk to experiences and emotions and how they'll be really beneficial, but we all think differently. So you might need to use more concise wording or numbers or facts, or, the benefits will say, example, they'll save you 5 hours of processing time a week, or, this particular car wax will reduce the number of times you need to get your car washed on average. So this reduces running costs and overheads. So you'll have a natural place where you fit in terms of the wording that you like to use. And so this is just a small caveat. I don't want you to be inauthentic, because then back to we're feeling like we've got an icky salesperson, but just making sure that you're picking up on all of what that customer just shared with you. They'll share that in their language. And so just mirror them a little bit more when you're playing it back. And that's really powerful. And so what you want to do is you want to paint that picture of how they can how they can expect to experience seeing those benefits. And this helps you sort of just see how they're reacting and responding. And that will help you see, do they need more information? Do I need to ask them more questions before I'm going to close the sale, which we're going to get to next. So what I like to point out here is this is really the only part of a conversation where you're actually selling. And all you're really doing is you're just sharing your side of what you've heard in the conversation around how you want to help. And if you can change your lens to reflect more of that, you'll be amazed at what happens just from that. So your reflection time for this is, what are some of the benefits that you offer? And you might want to, test yourself on this, like, am I too good with my own Kool-Aid that I can't spot this? Play it out with some friends and family. Can they sniff you out? Is there a what's in it for me from a customer's lens? And if you can do that, you've nailed it, and you're all about the benefits. The other thing in here is, when you're sharing benefits, is you can use from a making it really real from a customer's perspective. You can use real world insights. So this is where you're appealing, and this is a whole nother kind of school of thought that we could get into, is social proof selling and things like that. So other customers, or I like to do this. So for example, if you were selling a phone and I was the salesperson, I might say, well, I love taking photos. So the reason that I chose this phone is because it's got a huge storage limit. So it means, like, it takes me 6 months before I run out of storage space and I have to back up my phone, and I just love that. So you're really personalizing and helping the customer visualize that benefit. So I think that's enough on that. Oh, sorry, I've skipped right ahead. And sorry, I should have mentioned, if you've got any questions as I'm jumping through, because I do know I'm going at this quite quickly, just shout out and let me know. Okay, really important part of a sales conversation. In order for it to be a sales conversation, you've got to ask for the business. You've got to show these lovely customers that you've just spent this time building the rapport with, finding out about, and building that relationship with. This is now your chance to say, would you like to work with me? So what I'd preface this is totally human to fear rejection. You're human. We would have been kicked out of the cave if we'd been too weird. So this is a part of our human psyche and our human brain wiring to fear rejection. And yes, there's lots and lots of sales schools of thoughts out there, which is every no is another yes. They all still sting. You're a human. What changes is your ability to bounce back from the no, knowing that there are people out there that want your amazing products and services. And so if you can hold on to that and you've done all the rest of it well, you know, those no's will become easier to stomach, knowing that it's not just about you. Right. So what's really important, this part of a sales conversation, you need to give the other person space. We all take a different amount of time to decide a yes. Some of us will just impulse buy our life away, and we're a yes the second it's even slightly presented to us. And others will need to really mull on that and digest. So you've got to come at that. Give them space to know that it's safe to ask questions, and then remembering that it's still okay if they say no. For some people, it's not going to be the right time this time. It's not going to be the right place or the solution. And then all you really got to do is decide what are your closing questions you want to ask. So you can be really open with this and give, this is the option close. You're going to go with scripted sales training. Would you like the blue or the green? You could go with a soft, make an offer, test the water close. So how are you feeling about all of this now? Like, just tip your toe. I want to see, have you got any other objections drawing out? Or how's that all sound? You know, you'll find your way of asking the same question. You can be very, showing your power of conversation. Sorry, my thought where I was going with that just totally disappeared. So you can kind of go, based on what I've learned from you today, you know, you have told me about, you know, you're really needing to make space for the car. In the car, you've got to have space for the kids, the pram, and the dog. So my recommendation would be, you know, this car right over here, because this means you're going to fit, no matter the size of your dog, it can fit this in here. And as you can see, there's space for the pram next to it. And your kids are all going to be here. So that's going to help you with your space problem and means that you can all go away on a family holiday. Would you agree? So that's how you bring that to life. Or you can, if you're in a service-based business, you can just sort of say, hey, is there any other questions about how we work? Now, what that is that's a beautiful presumptive close. That is you going, oh, I've already worked out they're going to say yes. And so I'm just going to go right ahead and go, have you got any other questions about how we work? And then you can go before we get your paperwork underway, or before I tell you more about our invoicing process, that sort of thing. So this is where, because it's the hardest part, after you've had the no's and the yeses, you want to keep working on this part of the conversation. So that's what I've got there, is use this as your biggest area for personal growth and reflection afterwards. This is where when you're on replay in your brain afterwards, and you'll get slicker and slicker at this, is you're going to go, was I clear enough on the benefits? Did I actually ask, or did I kind of just tiptoe out of that? And so you'll find your own way of building that into your natural reflection. So what your action time is, and you'll get space for this in the resource that comes through afterwards, is knowing your confidence, because we've all got different confidences. And so that's why you've got these kind of options, testing, really presumptive, playing back, or really just strong presumptive, I'm going to get you signed up now questions. So know your confidence, where you want to sit on how you create your spectrum of questions, the scenarios that you've got in your life with your products and services in your business. I'd say have 1 to 3 questions, start with playing with, and use those to test the waters in closing a sale. We've got any questions about that? Because I know for a lot of people, this is actually the hardest part. Nope. Okay, cool. I'm gonna take you through then to what I think is a secret source of sales that not enough people make time for. So you're going to be in the land of the, you know, premium salespeople, my friends, off the back of putting this in place. Follow up, follow through, and delight. I can't tell you the number of times in my work with sales folk across the years, the number of times that follow-up has been the differentiator in how well they have performed as salespeople. And whether that's in a business context, and you see the increased profitability, like you start to see the hockey stick up of yeses once they've kind of hit their stride, or if you're in a corporate setting and you've got, really targeted KPIs. So wherever you sit in that world, follow-up will set you apart from the rest. This is especially true, back to that point, we can take longer naturally, some of us, to say yes and no, but some of us, depending on our products and services in our business, we can have a slower, natural length of our sales process, if that makes sense. So, for example, if you need milk, you're going to go to the shop and go buy milk. You're not going to really get really analytical about, well, maybe next week I'll branch out. Like, you're just going to go and get milk, right? As opposed to if you're making a serious investment, say a house, you're not going to walk in. Well, maybe you are, but most people are not going to walk in and go, oh, I've won it. Where do I sign up? Like, I've got the finances all sorted. That is a longer natural sales process. And so if you were expecting a yes on the first date in that situation, you're going to be really disappointed. And so this is where you can see the power of follow-up, right? The other thing that I would say here is we all think when we're selling our stuff that we are so important and our thing is the thing that will solve everything, particularly for those of us in service-based businesses. We think we are the bee's knees, we've got all the goods, we're going to make life so much easier. Unfortunately, our customers have got life, and we are probably not number one on their life list. And so that is where you've just got to remember where you sit and just keep, hi, it's me here. How you feeling about that thing? Got any questions since we last spoke? Because by doing that, what you do is you just stay somewhere front of mind on that list. At least you stay on the list, as opposed to if you don't follow up, you will become the item that gets dropped off the list and forgotten about for 6 months until the next thing comes around. So this is not about being a pestering mosquito in the night, buzzing around. This is not about rushing someone, but this is about steadily following up. And you need to follow up in a cycle that works for your sales process again. So if I'm a plumber and I've got an emergency call, if I'm following up in 2 weeks, I've missed the boat. On the flip side, if I am a, cleaning company provider, and I know that I've got a potential inquiry from someone who's looking to shift their clean, and they get a clean done every fortnight, a fortnightly follow-up makes so much more sense, doesn't it? Because after the clean's been done, they're in the cycle of reviewing and reflecting, and so it makes sense. It would not make any sense to be following up daily in that situation. And then for others, it might be monthly. If you're, say, a marketing provider and you know that monthly their current provider provides reports, if you've been really cunning, and that's not cunning, that sounds manipulative. If you've been really cognizant to remember what they've shared with you, and you know that, say, they get their reports at the first Monday of the month, follow up on the Wednesday or the Thursday of that week, because by then they'll have received the reports. They'll either be stoked or they'll be a bit disappointed with their current provider. And it just means that you're coming in at a point in their decision-making journey where they're most likely to say yes. What that also does is it sets the tone, really importantly, for how the rest of your professional interaction will go. It shows that you're professional and worthy, that you're credible, and that you're worth doing business with because this is how you act. It's totally important not to let them down after you've done that. So that's kind of where you want your follow-up. And then what I really want to get you guys to think about in this is, how can you add in room for delight in your post-sales follow-up? How can you upserve versus upsell? What are the ways that people can use your product and service and get more of the benefits that you've showed them as a result of your diligence and care? And this works just as well for products and services, and it's a big part of your customer journey. This is this is where you're thinking about playing a long-term game and knowing that the yes might come. So yeah, this action time's a bit bigger. But getting you to think about, because this is around your customer journey, right, which always involves a little bit more thinking. So if you can think about the things that you've bought, both as a business owner and in your personal life over the last month, how many of those were instant? How many of those were impulse buys? And then how many of those took a little bit longer? And what was actually the thing that tipped you over to purchasing? So if you can reflect on that, it's going to give you some good insight into your natural processing time, and will help you put yourself in your customer's shoes. Then what you want to think about is how often do your customers buy from you straight away? Are you an impulse buying product or service, or are you a months to 2 months to 3 month kind of buy? And so that's going to help you then work out what are the timeframes that make the most sense for your business to follow up. And then this is where you're going to do some deep reflection. What actually stops you at the moment from following up currently? And if you're like anybody of the hundreds of people that I've worked with over the years, it will be your fear of having a no. And so this is why we spent the time thinking about your mindset, and to remember that your customer is human with a messy life. They've probably just forgotten, and it's not about you. So following up is an act of service, for want of a better word, because it's just reminding them that you care, that you're not a mosquito in the night, and that you do really want to work with them, because we actually like to work with people who we know want to work with us. So I just get you to reflect around what's one tiny thing to just take some brave action today? What's one tiny thing you could change about your process to remedy that? And then you can go back and work through the deep work, but that would be my courageous challenge for you today. So yeah, I think you can tell I'm a big fan of sales. I'm a big fan of follow-up. So if there's not any questions around that, I just want to share a little quote with you before I tell you a little bit more about how you can work with us, because that would be a bit weird, hey, if I talk to you about sales and then forget to tell you how you could work with us from a cash transaction perspective. So great salespeople are relationship builders who provide value and help their customers win. So this guy, Jeffrey Gitomer, literally wrote a book called The Sales Bible and the Little Red Book of Selling. So I think he's got some very wise words. You can go and look him up. He's an American author, speaker, and trainer. And I just think this is just such a good summary of what we're talking about. You'll be great because you're building relationships, because you care about value, and because you're in it to help your customers win. So if you go forth with that mindset, put some of those skills in practice, there's nothing that you won't be able to sell. And then, if after letting today's lesson sink in, you'd love to keep working with us, so there's a couple of things. One, on Wednesday this week, we're running the last in our spring series of workshops, which is around the term that would be bandied around in the marketplace is time management. I like to use the term personal effectiveness. So whatever, the thing that helps you get more stuff done more effectively so that you can move the needle on your business. So that's 10 o'clock on Wednesday. And we do run workshops like these every month that are totally free. It's a big part of our core value system, which is making business knowledge accessible, because by doing that, it makes it easier for you to be successful. And that's what makes it hard. Equally though, it is so super cool if you want to come and work with us and pay for it, because if you can see the level of value that we run on a free session, hopefully it gives you an indication of just how amazing it is when you're, there's a bit more skin in the game, so to speak. So a couple of options that might appeal to you folks, both live and on the replay. Our Success Circle is our step-by-step fundamentals and business foundation group program. So what that is about, that's about you coming into an amazing library of resources, and what we do is each month we add something new to that. So there's a whole lot of systems and resources and skills that we make available to you, and then every month we bring you back together as a group so that you can go through learning about the new resource or the new tool that we've helped you create. And those are around the fundamentals of business. We also add into that a weekly accountability co-working session, which we find is really great. Set your Monday off in just the tone that you want it to be, and you're getting the right stuff done. And a fortnightly, come and ask us and our experts anything. Now, this is an amazing program, and it is designed that you can step by step it. It's not a huge level of time investment, but it is quite self-driven. So if that's you and it sounds great, your investment, you've got a couple of options. One is it's $100 a month, month by month, cancel it any time. Or you may like to choose the upfront, I'm in it, I wanted to try you out for a year. Now that's $600 for the year, and you get a one-on-one personal coaching session with either myself or Robin as the co-founders of your success team. So it's a pretty amazing way of doing things. The Success Squad is our other option you might like, and that is our group. This is our flagship program, so it's group-based. You come together as a group of 8 to 10, normally solopreneur based businesses, and you work through all the things that we cover in the success circle, but in an intensive. So we do 2 hours once a week. We go really deep. So we cover off your why, your vision, your purpose, your strategy. And then we help you think about, okay, so what does this then mean financially? How do I understand how I'm doing financially? How do I understand cash flow, margin, and forecasting? Because you've got to do that to have a business. Otherwise, it's just a hobby keeping you quite busy. We help you really think about your customer and their ideal customer journey and how you pull that into the right kind of sales and marketing mix. And then what we do is we put a nice big wrapper around it and go, okay, so now you've learned all this. How do you actually put it into practice when you're in the real world and facing those amazing clients that you serve? So your options there, you've either got a lump sum, which gives you a lovely discount of $500, or you can pay that off over 3 months for $4,500. We also now have within that Success Squad program, we are accredited providers under the Regional Business Partner Network. So what that means is if you're eligible, you may be able to get 50% funding on that. So if that's of interest, some more details will come out. There's a little sneaky spoiler alert, there's a little discount code for any of those programs. And because of how we roll, there's no expiry date for that. It's there for you to use whenever you're ready, because we know that coming to work with people like us might take you time. So we don't want to put any pressure. But equally, when you're ready, we're here and waiting. So unless there's any questions, thank you so much for taking that time to invest in learning more about your sales. I hope that you've got something really valuable out of this session and that it helps you see more paying customers saying yes, more money in your bank account, and you feeling more successful about running your business, and that you have a fantastic rest of your week. Thanks so much for joining us.